3v3 Argus Desert Gate blue team. xShaker1 plays an Eldar Warlock, offensive melee commander, decent mobility with fleet, can also tank and disrupt pretty well. Alongside Captain Obvious as an Eldar Farseer, also has fleet, support commander, fights melee, has loads of buffs to help her troops out. Rounding out blue team we have Horus as the Plague Champion, versatile commander, starts off range, can be fearsome in melee, can also heal, put down turrets and repair, but he's not the quickest getting around. Red team we have Gruchaa as a Techmarine, decent range damage, can also put down turrets and repair and relay beacons. Matt plays a Commissar Lord, offense and support, fights melee, can buff his infantry by executing them. And Darks plays another Eldar Farseer on this west side. Going to be an Eldar mirror here. Guide, put down on those guardians from the Farseer, that's one of her starting abilities alongside fleet. Warlock taking quite a lot of damage there, gets behind cover, decent destructor, that's his starting ability. And we have triple guardians from Darks. xShaker1 has gone for Howling Banshees, light melee infantry with power weapons, and they are going to melt under triple guardian fire, especially with guide support. Guide has been used though, and here come the Banshees. We'll want to wipe these Banshees as quickly as he can, Darks, and they are getting focused down as they move in. Good destructive melee by the Farseer too, forces off xShaker1's guardians. Banshees, look at that special attack, knocking down 5 guardians, but the Banshees taking all sorts of damage and get away with a single model. Do they? 2 hit points, and they do get away. The Warlock will now be forced off. Triple guardians working pretty well in the first engagement. East side, all hell breaking loose. We have Banshees retreating, Nurgle Worship, Chaos Space Marines and the Plague Champion behind heavy cover will be very hard to dislodge. Farseer trying to chase down Guardsmen. Matt doing a pretty decent job kiting, and she's going to be forced off here. Guardians in cover here. Sentinel blasting away with its multi-las, which is not very accurate as you can see. A tier 1 vehicle that decaps point but cannot cap them. Also a decent melee counter and blob counter with this. Only hits one squad with it though. Should have moved further up and got the Plague Champion and that squad, I think. Taking quite a lot of damage as it flees. Heretics move up their worship. We have Loyalist Tactical Marines and a Techmarine in this building. Need to be careful. There's the plasma grenade. Just managed to move out the way. Techmarine got hit and fell over. Kraken bolts from these tacks, but they are in the open here. Now move away. Need to be careful. Those CSM are there, forcing off Guardsmen. Meanwhile, centre, the Commissar Lord is capping up west side. A Shuriken Cannon on the field for xShaker1 and Rangers on the way for Darks. We may see double Rangers from Darks. I know he likes to use them. Shuriken sets up against the garrison. Techmarine's going to have a bit of a mission to get out of there. Sentinel forced off. Might see Rangers from Captain Obvious to deal with that Sentinel. Rangers and snipers in general very good versus the Sentinel. And the Techmarine will get away. Guardians won't be able to really force melee effectively. Light range infantry that do decent DPS but are very fragile and poor in melee. This central power on the west side taken by Darks. Shuriken is there. Shaker seems to have abandoned the west side for now, gone middle with those Howling Banshees, which needed a lot of reinforcement. Here come Noise Marines now, and Assault Marines jumping into that Shuriken. Well, look, Howling Banshees are there, which rip Assault Marines apart in tier 1 especially. And Guide put on these Banshees as well. That's very, very bad news. Guide increases damage and range, and the Assault Marines get away with no losses. Very, very lucky. Commissar Lord now trying to force the action with his shield up, his starting ability, which he really needs as a melee commander. With, is it 630 hit points? 600 hit points this guy has. Scouts are going to get their frag grenade off, give it to them by their sergeant. Shuriken loses a model but might just stay in the building. No, decides to get out. Nurgle Worship making these Chaos Forces very, very solid behind this heavy cover here. Guardsmen in the open. Quite difficult for large squads like Guardsmen to take cover effectively, but they don't want to stand in the open with Noise Marines there. Sentinel's going to go down surely. Special attack by the Farseer misses, but the Plague Champion should finish it off with the damage overtime bolter, and there he goes. West side, Darks, all on his own, is bashing gens. Here's the Ranger squad. Blue team doing a decent job pushing the east side. Might hit gens now. Noise Marines were forced off, were they? I think so, yeah. Noise Marines great at taking out gens. Also disable range weapons and do some nasty AoE flame-like damage. Assault Marines jumping in, but completely unsupported here. This is pretty nuts. Guide put on herself by the Farseer, buffing her own damage. And I suppose it will buff the range of her sidearm as well. Shuriken pistol, I suppose it is. Chaos Space Marine goes down, but these Assault Marines don't have the energy to defensively jump away and lose a model. I might lose another hit. CSM forcing melee, and do lose another. That was not worth it. Chaos Space Marines, no slouch in melee for a ranged squad. A bit more offensively minded than Loyalist Tactical Marines, which are a bit more defensive and versatile. And the Farseer goes down. No war gear for the Commissar Lord. Would have liked to see the Master Crafted Bolter for the Techmarine, most likely going for the Plasma Gun to take care of these Chaos Space Marines in tier 2. West side, here comes xShaker1. Ranger squad for Dogs, very low on hit points. xShaker1 has Rangers of his own. There goes a grenade. Didn't really hit. Banshee's moving in with War Shout and scare off all of these Guardians big time. Can he finish off the squad with their pistols? 7 hit points and gets away. Lucky boy Darks. Tarantula turret going up from the Techmarine will suppress and do respectable damage to infantry. You see the firing up here. Tactical Marines got a bit too close. Red team not really using cover effectively here. Katashan Devils for Matt, very powerful and versatile tier 1 unit now, with the model reduction and buff in 3.191. now have more health and more damage overall and are much more survivable. Techmarine forced off, not sure what he was trying to do. Assault Marines again are all alone. 487344. Horus already has Plague Marines on the field. Meanwhile, Gruchaa and Darks are not even tier 2 yet. Kicking off again. Turret getting shots off. Assault Marines jumping in, disrupting those Blastmaster Noise Marines, but Banshees are still very, very bad news for these guys. They get away without a loss again though. Stormtroopers on the field for Matt. Plague Marines will counter this turret by themselves. Uniquely do not have their fire rate decreased when they are suppressed and will easily tank the damage, and their missile does good damage to the turret. Couple more missiles and that thing's down. Red team needs to support it here. Guardians for xShaker1 on this side. Blue team tripling here. Where is Darks? He is defending his power. Ouch. Guardians wiped by that close range shuriken, but they should be able to force it off here. And they do so just. Banshees getting in amongst. Have their Exarch who gets a spear because they have their aspect. Grenade launcher from the Katashan Devils misses. Shuriken sets up, and Plague Marines cannot finish the cap because they are knocked down by their allied Blastmaster. Red team struggling to make inroads on the east side. Not sure what the Techmarine is trying to do here. And he's forced off. Spiders on the way for xShaker1. Lost his original Guardian squad. Manticore on the field from Matt, heavy artillery unit, and has been pushed up to this raised platform as well. Of course, Havoc on that VP. Scouts getting very close, get a grenade, very nicely done to those Blastmasters. Risky, but it paid off. And a Manticore strike kills droves of heretics. Storm Eagle, I believe it's called, CSM pushing up, have Marco Zinch, giving them Inferno Bolts. Assault Marines again, all alone. Double Marco Zinch CSM shooting the crap out of them, and they need to retreat. 487323. A 2-to-1 for blue, and the Wraith Lord on the field for Darks. Walker unit, fights melee, vehicle armor. Pretty nasty in melee, doing splash damage to infantry. Need to support your walkers though. Both of these, in fact all three blue commanders are down. Warlock down here, Farseer and Plague Champion both here. Magical strike on the Plague Marines who simply walk away. Double warp spiders for Captain Obvious. Anti-armor kit for the Stormtroopers, giving them melter guns, which are effective versus all targets really, but quite short range. And Stormtroopers are rather fragile. Moving into these Plague Marines here, Commissar Lord comes to cap. Tactical Marines also capping. Commissar Lord should be forcing melee on these Plague Marines instead. Another turret going up from Gruchaa. Meanwhile, west side, Darks is coming over with that Wraith Lord. Rangers cannot do anything to it, but they are stealthed. Going to be double haywire grenades, I think. And then send the Banshees in. Will the Wraith Lord survive here? There's the washout, forcing off the Guardians. This Wraith Lord now has no support. Here comes the Farseer, and she has the Doombringer. Is that it is? Wraith Lord is completely routed by those double haywires, and the Farseer is going to go down here after she completes that sync kill, and there she goes. Here comes some scout support and force off the Banshees. I think this Wraith Lord's going to live. Here we see the global repair from the Techmarine, forget its name. East side is red, and they are sitting back here. Have a Shuriken cannon to push against double CSM, and here come those Noise Marines again. Matt now switching to this west side to support Darks. Try and hit that power again maybe. Here comes a Bright Lance, which will be bad news for that Wraith Lord. Very nice anti-vehicle damage from those things. Bloodletter is also on the field for Horus, which for that Wraith Lord will need to watch out for. Demon Infantry, good damage versus all targets. They won't be able to go toe to toe with the Walker, but with support they will really damage one. These Warp Spiders teleporting infantry with ridiculous anti-infantry damage, but they are forced off there. Katashan Devils getting shot up, trying to cap. Turn around lads, have a fight. Wraith Lord being used as the line breaker for the entire red army here. And we have a double Wraith Lords from Darks. This is going to be very difficult for blue team to deal with. Surely the Farseer needs to be rebought, and you need a Singing Spear on her. Red team taking mid. These Katashan Devils are not capping now. Darks now going to the west side again. Has quite a lot to contend with. Where is the other Wraith Lord? It's standing around the centre. Bloodletter's going after this one, and Banshees with that spear. Excellently done by Matt with that grenade launcher, saving that Wraith Lord there. Distort field put on the Bloodletters. That's a global ability of the Warlock, and they are going in. Excellent special attack from the Wraith Lord, good grief. And the Manticore strike going in. Nurgle Worship only affects your own Chaos units, of course. Bloodletter's getting wrecked by these Wraith Lords right now. Under Worship though. And is that Channeling Runes? It is. Healing up those Bloodletters, but disabling the Warlock. He can support. Now War off, and these Bloodletters need to be careful. Wraith Lords running riot here. Blue team have no real answer. Where is the Bright Lance? It's running the hell away. Bloodletters phase out and then run. And an Autarch called down from Darks to disrupt and tie up things for those Wraith Lords. They're going to be even more dangerous. Tier 3 for Gruchaa. Matt is already there. Dark's taking up the reins in Tier 2 and going very heavy with double Wraith Lords and an Autarch. And red team's sitting on the east side. They should be pushing here. At least having given the blue team something to think about over there. Warlock runs away. Here comes the Commissar Lord, and he has a Power Fist. Also has Emperor's Wrath, a very expensive accessory, but can be devastating if you pull it off. double the Wraith Lords back up to full health. Have not leveled yet though. This one very close to leveling. 363, 275 is a single for red, which is east, and they are taking a natural for a 2-to-1. Blues now have their natural back. Tier 3 for Captain Obvious Farseer revived. For Darks, now moving over to the west side, Guardians need to run. Assault Marines now have their Sergeant, helps them a lot in melee fights with other melee units. East side, here come Bloodletters causing havoc to those Plasma Devastators. Now run right into that turret though. At that close range they will get devastated. They phase out, but will they be able to survive much longer? Here come Howling Banshees from Shaker. Is this, or are these obvious? These are Captain Obvious. And here comes the Farseers to support with Guide. Tactical Marines flee, lose a model as well. They have their missile launcher. Can now revive the Nurgle Plague Champion. Plague Marines and Chaos Space Marines capping, and that turret goes down. Plague Champion's back up. Level 2, no war gear, as is the Farseer. Ouch, that was Emperor's Wrath, absolutely decimating the Bright Lance, I believe. Here are those double Wraith Lords. Haywire Grenade on one, double Haywire Grenades on the other, and blue team need to take this chance, but the Bright Lance is gone. The Warlock cannot really get an anti-vehicle weapon, and the Farseer of Captain Obvious does not have the singing spear and is on the other side of the map. Autark leading a line there, and Shaker1 forced to pull back and retreat some stuff, and this power's getting hit again. 330, 256, 2-to-1 for blue. They're still ahead on VPs. Red team have not been aggressive enough on this east side. They were sitting there for a while with that turret, which was lost anyway. Look at this though, red team getting Land Raider Redeemer and a Baneblade out. Autark flees, decap the power though. Darks is now tier 3. I know he likes to get a Seer Council on the field, a unique unit to the Eldar Farseer. We'll see if he gets one out or goes for an Avatar instead. These Assault Marines taking ridiculous damage. I thought they were going to get away without a loss then again. Ouch, Emperor's Wrath and a Manticore Strike, that is ridiculous. Plague Marines exploding under Commissar Lord melee as well with that Power Fist. He's no joke in melee. Needs to be careful here though, and does in fact retreat. Blue team are stacking pretty well on the east side. Completely abandon the west. Centre's pretty even. Here comes one of the Wraith Lords, and here is the other one, getting snared by those Plague Marine missiles. There goes another one. Red team need to push together. Where is Gruchaa? Here he comes, and here comes the Seer Council for Darks. Really cool melee unit, leap into melee combat, ridiculous DPS, and quite mobile with fleet as well. Here we see it, trying to get in and tie up that shuriken. Wraith Lord is stunned. Banshee's now in melee, and here we see the special attack knocking back half the blue army there. Level 2 Wraith Lord is no joke. Picks up a Banshee, body slam. This Farseer dies. That was Armor of the Assyrian from Captain Obvious. Why would you get that and not get the Singing Spear? Land Raider Redeemer on the field, as is the Baneblade. This is something you don't want to see when you're a blue team. 2 super units on the way. Baneblade owns pretty much everything at range. Land Raider Redeemer, amazing support vehicle, and good close range damage as well. 320, 226, and they are surely going to be able to hold this east side. Seer Council lost a model. They can now reinforce though around the Land Raider, and there is Spirit Stones healing them up. from Dark's Farseer. Ouch, Emperor's Wrath again has been used really well. Oh, that was a Baneblade shot, wasn't it? Yes. That was the Demolisher Cannon on the front there. Double Wraithlord still stomping around. Level 3 and level 2. And that's pretty much been the game. If blue team dealt with those Wraithlords, red team would be nowhere near the position they're in now. Wouldn't have been able to hold tier 2 nearly as well, since Matt and Gruchaa pretty much rushed to tier 3 to get those super units out. Guardians now decapping, very very cheeky. Here's a Fire Prism for Shaker1. They need some very very hard anti-vehicle, not a Fire Prism right now. There's the Manticore Strike. Hits the allied avatar, sorry, Autark, but she's alright. 281, 226. Red team now flooding the center. Nice Fire Prism shot, knocking back all of that stuff. 2-to-1 cap for red. KY grenade. Rocket run on these retreating units, nicely done. Oh, just missed that second run. Would have been devastating from Matt. Red team being a lot more aggressive now with his 2 super units on the field, and blue team concede in the face of the super units, don't want any part of it, and red team take the match 264-226 at the end. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you next time.